Today, we are going to make some grass. No, I'm not in Colorado, so it's not going to be that kind of grass. It's our techniques that are so simple and sensible, your modelers have practically built themselves.
Just a reminder, folks, that this video is rated R.
Oi, mateys. Welcome to today's show. It's Captain Mad Dog, and well, working on these pirate ships. So this is the second installment of 4 that I'm doing. I need to make it very clear up front that I'm not a rigged ship builder. Okay, this is not my specialty. In fact, these are really the first rigged ships that I have completely done, and I'm not rigging them completely. Okay, if that rings any sense at all. What my plan is to build these 4 ships. I'm modifying 3 of them from one existing kit, which is the Constitution, and well, the United States, which was pretty much the same model. We did a review on that not too long ago. So what I'm doing is I'm modifying these 3 ships and turning them into fantasy pirate ships. Okay, these aren't designed to be anything but fantasy. These are huge 18th century frigates, and I'm trying to backdate them to late 17, early 18th century merchant vessels, frigates, whatever you want to call them. But these would be ships that were captured by pirates. These would be large ships, and yes, they would have some arms on board, but the pirates would add more. So this is specifically for the game. It's a murder mystery game that I'm putting together with a group of my friends. We're all going to be dressed as pirates. We're going to come to a pirate tavern, and we're going to have a great time, and there's going to be a murder mystery involved. And I wanted, instead of just having a picture or drawing of the particular ships that are represented by the captains that will be at the party, I wanted something 3D. So instead of buying little teeny pirate ships, Mad Dog, I gotta have it big, I gotta have it bad. So 3 of these ships have been modified. We are looking at the second installment today. It's about 90% finished. I still have a little bit to do on it, and of course I'm gonna have to rig it at some point in time. That's not going to be anytime soon. So keep in mind, these are not going to be fully rigged ships. I just want to prove the point that if you have one of these, instead of letting it sit on the shelf for years and years and years and years and then maybe throwing it away or giving it away, I acquired my 3. One cost me $20. I think the other one cost me $40. One was free, so I couldn't complain, and they were partially built. So I went ahead and I made my modifications and I finished them. So that's what we're going to look at today, and I want you to know you can do it too. It does take a little bit of time, but you can have a neat looking display ship without having to do the full rigging, without taking the 1.5 to 2 years to get it done. You can do this too. So let's take a look at number 2 of my 4 pirate ships that I'm modifying.
So our story will start with a partially completed hull. This is one that I started building a couple of years ago. It was given to me out of a friend's estate, and I got the hull halves together. I got the copper painted on the bottom, got the white painted on the side, got one deck on it, and that's where it stopped and sat for a couple of years. So we're going to take this and we are going to get it finished up. I decided on this one that I wanted a really big captain's cabin area like the old galleons had. So I started by taking some, what do you call that stuff? Balsa wood, building up the sides and filling in some of the gun ports. And I had this building, this HO scale building that I had nothing to do with it, and I thought these windows and some of the decorative brick on this would look really, really good for the captain's cabin. So that's what I did. I tore this building apart, and as you can see, we're sticking it on the side and on the back of this ship to replicate a large captain's cabin area. So that's what I decided to do. It's amazing what you can repurpose out of an HO scale building. Here's kind of a look into that cabin area and how things are going to kind of fit and play out in there. Thinking back on it, I probably should have removed more of the actual hull so that the windows looked into the captain's cabin. Here you see the cabin's painted up and the floor's painted. But, oh well, hindsight being 20/20. And here I've started to put a deck above it, right above the cabin itself. This took a little bit of engineering to get this in here. So one of the things I would do to keep track of my parts is I would take my evergreen and I would mark it. This is BS for back on the starboard side. So that's the back piece of the other side will be facing out, and here it is once it's installed with the windows in place. And I don't think these big tall windows are from this particular building. I think they're from just some extra parts that I had. Anyway, I used some corrugated styrene here on the top to make the roof for this captain's cabin area. We're going to have to deal with moving some other components in the ship, and we'll do that later. So here on the back, you see how I've kind of cobbled together the back end, the aft end of the captain's cabin, and how that's going to look. So it still kind of looks like a building grafted onto it, but we're going to try and make it look like it's part of the ship. And here we are adding some V-groove for the decks, for these two decks that we have added here in this back area. So I really wanted to decorate this up and make it very ornate. And I got looking at Etsy, and they had these mermaid queens that were from Wargaming that were a little bit larger than the scale that I'm dealing with, but I think they would be just perfect for something ornate to put on the back end of the ship. So once they came in about a week. They cost me, I don't know, $10, $12 for the two of them. I think they're going to be great right here. So to mount them, I took some milliput, rolled it out, made these bases, sculpted them, and voila, there you go. Then I've gone ahead, I've taken some Mr. Surfacer and filled in some of the brick areas so it doesn't quite look as much like a brick building laying on the back of the ship. We'll see how it finally turns out, but we're going to give it a couple of coats to try and fill it in a little bit. Here you can see another angle, and yep, they mounted up really nice. The milliput is perfect for this kind of an application. So it's going to be a really ornate back end on this thing. We'll see how it turns out. Now I think we're going to start painting. So on this ship, the color scheme is black with kind of a burgundy-ish stripe around the bottom of it. That's just kind of how it looks in the picture that we showed earlier. So I found this. Actually, this is one of my face painting colors, and it's like a dark shadow flesh, but it's kind of reddish. And look at that. I think that's just the ticket. I think that's exactly what we're looking for. And painting the rest of it black. Yeah, this looks sharp. I like that color scheme. So for the hull, not the hull yet. Here we've gone ahead and painted the figures. We're going to dry brush them later, and around the windows and whatnot. So looking pretty good. We're going to add some more detail here in just a little while. And again, one more shot at the back side. When I dry brush these with a little bit of gray, those mermaid queens are really going to pop. It kind of still looks like a building, but not as much as it did before, so hopefully it'll pass. Okay, so for the hull, I had this flow quill, this old flow quill, German brown violet, and it's a great color for the hull, I think. I'm going to put barnacles on it anyway eventually, so I think it's a great base for that. Now for the upper areas, I've decided to go ahead and use this. It's a burnt sienna from Tester's Model Master that I had. And I'm going to use this for some of these grates and some of the other trim around the upper areas of the deck. Okay, so you'll notice I've dry brushed the queens, and we'll go back to them in just a minute. But I found these little just trinkety things that were at Hobby Lobby in the charm bracelet section, and stars and starfish and moons and clamshells and these wire ring wreaths and whatnot. And I'm just going to go and stick them willy-nilly all over the place. Also, you'll notice the little seahorses that I got. These are little resin seahorses that they had there at Hobby Lobby, and I picked up like 6 or 8 of them. Here's on the side some of the little ornate work that I just stuck on there, and then I went ahead and painted it with some gold paint that I had. Now, in the center, I had made a mermaid, as you can see. I made a mermaid with some milliput and an HO scale figure, and I've decided to start putting these lanterns. I found these again in Hobby Lobby in the charm section, and I think they'll make great lanterns for the ship. So I've got 2 of them. I've got one of them being held up by 2 of the seahorses. Thought that'd be kind of a neat little twist. Here on the front part, I've ground away some of the detail that was here, and I went ahead and put shell and a star and a feather. Just, make it different from the other ships. And then painted that up gold. And the background of it is the red. This is really, I think, a nice looking paint scheme. Now these octopi, I got them from Etsy as well. 4 of them for like $8. And they will go perfect on the stand. Also went ahead and made the nameplate, the Black Onyx. Now for the prow of the ship, I want to make another mermaid, and I'm thinking that instead of an HO scale figure, I'm going to use a 35th scale figure. And I've got these that I think I can modify. I think they'll turn out really good as mermaids. So here's this gal with her hand out. We're going to turn her into a mermaid. I'm going to get out some milliput, going to roll it out, and voila. Make a bottom end for her, threw a couple of starfish on her top, and here she is. She's going to be on the prow of this ship with all these other mermaids on it as well. So we'll take a look at her in a few minutes. Now I had to finish up these deck areas. I went ahead and used again some charm bracelet stuff and some styrene, and put the ship's wheel here, some stairs. Was trying to get these decks finished, and you can see how they're coming along. I did decide I had to fill in this area because of the way the stairs goes, which is fine. That'll give us one more cannon slot up here. And now we're going to start putting rat lines on, and you can see where on top of the roof of the captain's cabin there, I had to, on the side, I had to do some modifying of where I was going to locate that. So I've decided to go ahead and put the ship's boats on this particular one here in the center, and I've arranged them differently than they would have been on the Constitution, but hey, this is a different ship. So here we go with the supports for the rat lines on this side, and I'm also beginning to build up the area for the raised platform. And we're going to cut this, as you can see, out of the balsa wood. Instead of having a complete cabin area, I'm just going to have 2 platforms, one on each side, that we're going to put 3 cannon. Here I've got them kind of in place to see where I want to put everything and where I want to make the ports. Here's the aft end. I've gone ahead and painted the name Finley's Revenge. Now, each one of the ships is going to have a name after one of my grandchildren. So when I'm done with the game, it'll have its actual real name. The nameplate on the side will be for the game purposes. So anyway, I went ahead and resin cast these from the Revell pirate ship. Like I said, I probably would, and they're a great addition to the side here. You see those seahorses look really good. I went ahead and put some provisions here just to see how they would look. I think they're going to be great, so I resin cast those. This structure behind the figure is actually for the ship's bell, and then I've got a chart table up in front of the main wheel. I modified this structure that was up here in the front. It had a big flat piece, and I've taken that out and scratch built some framing and got my anchor put on. We've gone ahead and done the rigging part for these boats to get them tied down, and I'm starting to put the side pieces on here. I've also added the ropes for the gun doors that would pull the gun doors open, and got the stairs for the platforms. Now, I went ahead and did kind of an old English by hand on this. Added a piece of 8, added a jewel that kind of looks like an onyx. And in the center here is part of one of those medallions that I made, and we'll talk a little bit more about him later. Okay, so let's do a quick once around, show you what we still have to do here. So here's how our figurine turned out. I've still got some painting to do. You see how I've got these lanterns painted. I still have a cannon to put here, and I still have the 3 to put in that gallery there. I need to cut some of the rigging around that cannon to fit better, and I still have doors to put on these cannon ports. I've got this area here to take care of still, but I like how the boat just turned out. And just doing that experiment with some of the provisions. I like that, so we're going to put more of those on. There's our little octopuses. We actually have a pilot back here at the helmsman. And here's our lanterns. Okay, I'm going to turn this around. Okay, let's get a good overall view of it. Hello, Rocco. Coming to see us. Now, obviously I still have a bunch of painting to do here. And, of course, I'm going to put lines on these sails, but I just needed to get them on there for now. And that's how the nameplate looks. Yes, I still have some painting to do. But all in all, I think it's looking pretty good. So still have several days work left before I start any rigging on it. So here you go, the Black Onyx.